now ready to welcome our next speaker. All of us are faced with choices every day. Some are easy and some are not. Our next speaker is someone who has made a clear choice between a regular life and making a difference. He's a change maker whose work has been recognized around the world. He's mad, as madness is what it takes to bring about such change. Co-founder and the CEO of India's largest youth teacher network, I present to you Mr. Jithin Nedumala.
Hi. Oh, cool, great. I get response. I heard Madhava speak, and I realized that he brings in such grandiose into the room. You know, when he speaks, it's not very easy to take him lightly. Well, I'm the kind of person who struggle to be taken seriously most places I've been to. So I was thinking, you know what do I do so that I'm also taken seriously in this room? So the good news is that I learned fast. So Madhava did did a quick poll before he started. So I'm going to do something similar myself. We are in Bangalore and we are in an MBA college. I want to know the number of Mallus in the room. Oh yes, yes, yes. A lot more than scuba divers. Now, I'm a Mallu myself. By now, the accent would have kind of given away. So I want to give you guys, the rest of you guys, a quick tip or quick fact on how our lives are. It is, you know, till 12th standard, we all are happy. We are all in Kerala. We study together. But then after 12th standard, all the cool Mallus leave to Bangalore. The not so cool Mallus leave to Coimbatore. Right? And then the really unfortunate ones get stuck back in Kerala. So I am part of the third category. I was stuck in Kerala after 12th standard. And it was not fun. That's the best way to put it. I mean, I was so bored out of wits that I had to do anything and everything possible so that I don't have to go to college. And one of these random activities of, you know, excuses of getting out of college landed me up in an orphanage when I was in my second year of college. And for the first time, I mean, you know, first time it was pretty straightforward. I was expecting children to be sad and lonely and depressed because life was so unfair to them. And I thought I could cheer them up. But by the end of my 1.5 hour engagement with them, I realized that I have to take life a little bit more lightly. You know, because they bring in so much joy and so much pleasure. They're so full of love and excitement about life. You will be like, you'll actually have, you've seen that meme which is called the first world problems? Every problem that I had was something close to that. But the reason I decided to go back in again to the shelter home was not because I wanted to make a big difference in the children's lives. It was probably because it was a very selfish reason. Because the first time in my life, I felt that somebody was looking up to me. You know, to be very frank, nobody really thought much of me all my life. Which is like my parents or my teachers, their only expectation was, don't screw up. As long as you don't screw up, you're good, you're doing fine. So, you know, low expectations, life was good. But when I first walked into an orphanage and I started spending time with those children, they were looking up to me. And for once in my life, I felt that, you know what, I have to live up to their expectations. And I felt good being in there. The next few months were amazing. But then the first reality check happened. The children I teach are extremely intelligent, extremely street smart. They say experience makes you who you are. And these children have got experiences which I have never had in my life, and most people sitting here will never have in our lives. And they have, you know, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. They have emerged out of which much stronger than all of us. They're so much more street smart. And tomorrow in a negotiation, at any point of time, you will lose if you're negotiating anything with them. That's how good they are. But then I came to realize that by the time they reach 10th standard, 72% of them will drop out of school. And by the time they reach 12th standard, 95% would have dropped out of school. And I felt that did not make any sense. I expected these guys to be the coolest people when they grew up. So I started spending more time trying to really figure out what exactly is going on here. Why is this happening? And what I found out was not very encouraging, to say the least. The fact is that we as society treat them like second-class citizens. Think about it, right? We have a party in our house and we have some food left over. We will not give it to our neighbor who we hardly know, saying that, dude, there's some food, you can have it. We don't do that. We have some old clothes which is out of fashion or smaller than small. We will not give it to a cousin, lesser known cousin, saying that, you know what, I don't like it anymore, you can have it. We don't do it because at some levels we know that it is rude. It is not nice. It's somehow treating the other person in a negative manner. But for some reason, we feel amazingly great when we actually do the same in an orphanage. When we give our leftover food or clothes to an orphanage, we feel like, wow, I have done a good deed today. And frankly, I'm not against, giving food or giving clothes, because at the end of the day, it's better utilization of resources. But what I saw when I was sitting with those children and waiting for the food to arrive was what kind of a psychological impact something like this had on our children. We are breeding an entire generation of young children thinking that, making them believe that they're only good enough for the leftovers. They were not meant to become the engineers or doctors. They were bred so that someday they become, thank you, wow. Someday they will, be our drivers and our cleaners. And, I've seen the sponsors, the donors who come there. They give them food that they will never give their children. They give them clothing that they will never give their children. And most importantly, they send these children to schools that we will never send our children to. And this was a very bad phase in my life. The only reaction I had at that point was, I was mad. I was angry at this whole situation. I felt that we adults have created this system around these children that they will never be able to escape and get out of the vicious cycle of poverty. Till 10th standard, 99% of these children go to vernacular medium schools. But after 10th standard, if you need to continue studies, you need to go to an English medium school. Everything is in English. It's almost like if we studied in English till 10th standard, and in 11th, they said, sorry, now it's in Japanese. Learn it now. And so there's so many systemic challenges that we felt was there in these shelter homes. And we thought, we started off in a very radical manner. We started off with writing down a new piece of paper, the adults have screwed up, it's up to us now. And we started pasting it all over the campus. And we had an amazing bunch of young people joining us. And that's how the journey of MAD started. When we started MAD, the amount of, in Kerala I'd never heard of volunteerism before. And it was, parents used to ask their children, so you're going to go spend your money to an orphanage, teach children there, come back, and they don't pay you. We're like, no, they're cheating you. Like, no, it's volunteering. No, it's cheating. Right? And we've been getting so much, the two big arguments are pretty straightforward. Number one, young people today, it's impossible to get them excited about anything, doing good at all. That is a one big criticism. And number two was, even if you get people excited about giving time for something good, they will lose interest fast. You won't be able to maintain the interest of young people anymore. And and then this whole, wherever I went to speak to people, and they said, young people these days, they're too materialistic. All they care about is the money they have, and unless they get something out of it, they will not do anything. But frankly, my experience of working with Make a Difference has been fantastically different. Today, MAD can recruit a maximum of 2,000 people every year. While as of today, we have 19,000 people registered on our website wanting to give back to society. It is not a small number. These are young people, and this is not about some, come one weekend and spend time with our children. The minimum commitment for the lowest volunteering profile in MAD is to spend 3 hours of your time every week for a whole year in a shelter home. There's nothing lower than that. And for that, we have 18,000 people registered. And more importantly, as of today, and the second argument was that even if they come in, they will not stay. We have under 10% attrition for the 2,000 volunteers who are there in the system. The funny part is, the biggest reason for attrition since the day we started was not because volunteers did not find anything interesting in it. Volunteers were not, could not be monetized after a level. The biggest reason was the parents thought it was not a good thing. And that was something that really did crush us. Because for us, for once in our lives, we decided to step up and take responsibility to things around us. And for some reason, the regular thing that we felt was that this is not the time for you to do all this. Right? I'll come back to that a little later. But for now, I just want to play a quick video. So every year, so today MAD is in 23 cities in India. And we work with close to 4,500 children. So every year, we the few people who had make a difference goes on a tour all across the country, and they ask young people, what do they think? And it's high time that we ask young people, what do they think and who are they, instead of asking the old people, what do you think young people are? So this is directly from the mouth of the target audience, the young people. So can we play a quick video? Thank you. So it took us 7 years to get here since we started. But here I want to quickly discuss with you, you can do the same. I thought what should be my TED Talks topic. And for me it's like, how can you start your own create your own social movement in under 3 years? Because in MAD, it took us 7 years, but it doesn't need to take 7 years. And before I go into how you can do it, I want to spend like a quick 1 minute on why you should do it. Because frankly, if you think about it, in India, we have the best problems in the world. And we need the best minds in India to work on it. Simple as that. And the second big challenge that everybody says is, you know what? Why now? Right now is the time to study and get settled and get married. Probably I should give back after that. Actually, I have a friend's mother who took it a level further. He said, you know what? You should get married, ensure you have children, make sure children are married, then you have all the time in the world to make a difference. But I have also another friend who said something really interesting, she said, by the time you turn 30, you realize that you'll never be rich, you will never be famous, and you will never get married to Angelina Jolie. Till then you have hope, right? And that is a very important point, because at the end of the day, if you look at the biggest revolutions that's changed the face of our planet, they were not led by 60-year-old people. It was led by young people. Look at the civil rights movement. Look at the hippie movement. Look at the latest Arab Springs movement. The Occupy Wall Street movement. These are all not done by some random people, but by young people in colleges. It means something. And look at the biggest companies in the world today. Let it be Facebook, Apple, Microsoft. All of them were started not by 50-year-old people with tremendous amounts of experience, but by young people. Because we believe that real disruption in the market will have to come from a new generation. And that's our generation. And that's our responsibility. So now that if you feel, you're convinced that you can, we need to start our own social movement, how can we go about it? In MAD, we noticed that there are 4 big hurdles that stops a young person from making a difference or starting his own movement. For example, when I went to my mom and I told her that I want to become a social entrepreneur, my dad had a mild heart attack, and my mom immediately went to the church and started praying for my good health, for my good mental health. Because that is, at the end of the day, the experience that we have, right? We believe that by providing 4 basic services, we will be able to get more young people to become social entrepreneurs. Number 1, we need to provide them more experience, which is, unless you are working with the children or with the target or with the people who need our support most, we will not be able to understand what is the innovation that we need to bring about. That is number 1. In MAD, that is the first year that you spend and make a difference. You ensure that you have clarity in understanding that you work with them for a whole year and you understand what exactly the challenges that they face. The second year of MAD is not just about the children, but also about how to run your own NGO. So out of the 70 to 80 volunteers we have in a city, we recruit 7 to 10 of the best people, and we train them to become amazing NGO administrators. So they run the NGOs all by themselves in their city, normally done by full-time employees. They do it part-time. Third big hurdle is that after the first 2 years, people come up with amazing ideas. But the challenge is that, when I started MAD first, I spent least amount of time on my program and spent most amount of my time recruiting volunteers, getting money, getting legal registrations, all those kind of things. While we want to take that out of the system, we want to say, if you have an idea, you come in to make a difference, and we will be able to support you with everything else. All you do is focus on your project. Simple as that, right? And the third part is also that if you need to start working in the social space, you need to have some basic scale before you can afford to pay yourself, right? And normally it takes a long time for a social organization to scale. There are very few organizations out there that are scaled like Make a Difference. And we want to give that platform open to everybody else. And we want to say, you come in to Make a Difference. In the first year, you pilot it you test it in 1 city. At the end of 6 months, we'll let you test it in 4 cities. And if the success, we will take you to 23 cities in the next year. So in under 3 years, you will be actively working with 4,500 to 5,000 children in 23 cities all across the country. And now, you're not just another social entrepreneur. You're taken seriously when you're going. You get to do TED Talks, TEDx Talks. That's an interesting way to look at it, right? We're able to cut down that time dramatically. And the fourth and most important thing is that sometimes you got an amazing idea while you were in college, but doesn't mean you need to spend the rest of your life doing it. And in MAD, we give you a very clear exit strategy. We tell you, drive your idea for 2 years. Once it's ready, you can move on. We will, the entrepreneurs need only till that point. You can go do your MBA, start your own venture. It doesn't matter what. We will take it forward from there. So hence, you don't have to worry about your idea dying once you leave the organization. So, at the end of the day, this is one simple truth that I want to discuss. We live in a very interesting time. Back in our parents' times, things were not so easy. Getting a job, unemployment was high. Getting a job was near to impossible, and any job you get, you would take it. And it was impossible that you start working at a very young age because your parents would probably be supporting their entire family on the other side. Right? There are 5 to 6 people that each of these families support. But the good news is that we are not like that. Our parents have done their job well. That is the reason we are sitting here today. Frankly, if you think about it, none of us are really worried that we are going to be unemployed. We all know we will get a job. None of us are really bothered, or more than bothered, none of us really need to send money home. There's nobody, I don't know if there are enough people in this room whose parents are waiting for you to send your first salary to buy rice. That's not the case anymore. And this has given us a very unique dilemma and an opportunity. The dilemma is this. As this new middle class generation, we don't even know what our real purpose is. Because we don't have a family to feed. We don't have a job that we have to go to. We can do whatever we want. And hence this lack of purposelessness is sometimes haunting us. But it's also a unique opportunity. Because at the end of the day, probably after a long time in India, We are the first generation who can afford to step out of the rat race for just 5 minutes and look at the world and say, what is it that I really want to do? Do I really want to increase the market share of synthol from 25% to 30% in my lifetime? Or do I want to do something that really matters? I hope you guys make the right decision. Thanks a lot.